ain't you gonna eat?
My first thought when this game was announced was a resounding ugh. I almost checked out purely based on the name, Kakarot. I mean, Jesus fuck, can we please have some kind of Dragon Ball media that isn't a massive Goku wank fest? I can't even understand why anybody likes Goku anymore. In Dragon Ball Super, he is a negligent, selfish jerk who constantly puts his friends and the entire universe in danger time and time again just because he wants to fight someone strong. But that is a discussion for another time. When I heard that Kakarot was a proper RPG though, I was on board, at least enough to check it out. The Dragon Ball Z games have been dominated by the fighter genre, and perhaps that's for obvious reasons. Most actual RPGs in the franchise are either really old or on handheld consoles, or both. They are limited in scope is what I'm getting at, games like Legacy of Goku and Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan Densetsu. There have been a few attempts in the past to try and softly expand the games into RPGs, games like Sagas and Xenoverse, but let's be honest, these aren't RPGs. Sagas is just a series of hallways, and Xenoverse is just another fighting game with a story mode, except this one has a lobby in the form of a town. Kakarot though, well, it is an RPG. A real RPG. I'd struggle to fit it into any other genre, and it doesn't just tick some metaphorical RPG checklist to be technically an RPG, it looks, feels, and plays like one. This should make me very happy, but there is just one teeny tiny little problem. The main story follows the exact same major arcs and events from the anime that anybody interested in Kakarot will have likely already had drilled into their heads countless times over the past several decades. All is not lost though, because I'm about to compare my Kakarot experience so far with a rather unexpected game. Kakarot, weirdly, reminds me of the Simpsons Hit and Run, not in a base level gameplay sense, though you can actually drive cars in Kakarot, but I got almost the exact same feeling the first time I just got to fly around Dragon Ball Z's version of Earth as I did the first time I got to drive around the streets of Springfield. Seeing everything laid out is just neat, and just like in Hit and Run, Kakarot's world is filled with Easter eggs, characters from the series, and collectibles. If anything, the main story just gets in the way. While you're in the middle of an arc, you are locked to whatever character and party the story has given you control of, and you are often only allowed to travel to certain areas of the world map. But in between arcs is when the game really shines. These periods are simply called intermissions, and they pretty much let you do whatever you want. That isn't to say that the main story in Kakarot is bad, it's just too familiar. The cutscenes are generally very well done, classic scenes are recreated faithfully, the English voice cast is all here and all amazing as usual, and the game takes a mostly no filler approach to the story. Obviously there are intermissions and sort of semi-breaks every now and then to give you a chance to explore and complete side quests if you want to. So, much like The Simpsons Hit and Run, I couldn't give a toss about the main story, but I freaking love doing all the optional stuff, finding all the Easter eggs and collectibles, and appreciating the attention to detail. I spotted a post on my Twitter feed of something I forgot to try during the Frieza saga on Namek, but it shows that attention to detail I was talking about. In Kakarot, you have a sense key mode. Holding the button down puts you into a first-person view, and a character's power level will be represented by ki, an orange glow emanating from the character. There's a point while on Namek where Frieza is standing opposite Gohan, Krillin, and Piccolo. Every time you've gone into this mode up to now, major characters have all had a minor orange glow, roughly twice the size of themselves. When you go into ki sense mode during this bit on Namek, however, you visually see just how much more powerful Frieza is compared to all other characters. Frieza's glow turns half of the map bright orange. The optional stuff being my favourite part of Kakarot created its own little problem early on. This game took a good while to get going. It didn't truly click with me until I beat the Saiyan Saga, which was a good 8 hours or so of gameplay, and then it didn't get really good until once I'd passed the Frieza Saga. You're still unlocking a bunch of extra things to do during the early stages of the Android Saga as well. Eventually you'll find an impressive amount of things to do, collecting materials, Dragon Balls and collectibles, fishing, cooking, hovercar and bipedal walker time trials, side quests, elite villainous enemies, etc. I thought the villainous enemies were just stronger encounters, which they are, but to my surprise there is also a sort of hidden quest line that gets opened up by defeating them. And I guess that's where we come to combat. It's fine, I guess. I certainly prefer it to most of the Dragon Ball Z fighting games because I just don't play fighters. The battle system in Kakarot feels a lot more action-adventure-y and manageable for non-fighting fans. All the stuff you'd expect from Dragon Ball Z is here. Blinking and dodging, powering up, transformations like Super Saiyan, super attacks, and your basic melee strikes. Support characters will act on their own, but you can also give them a specific command every now and then, and you'll find a smattering of other infrequent mechanics in here as well, like beam struggles. My main issue with it is the annoyance of a lot of the enemies. The seemingly intended way to deal reliable damage is to complete a melee combo which sends the enemy flying back, and following that up with a Gallic gun or a similar super attack. But so many enemies, even nobodies like Frieza army grunts, just break your combo over and over and over. They just do this burst thing and send you flying in the middle of them getting absolutely pummeled. Even using some of your other super attacks that are literally meant to break guards and stun opponents only do so when enemies are in very specific states. You'd think going full power Super Saiyan and using Meteor Hammer on a random Saberman would actually send it flying, but not if that Saberman is glowing red. That means he's charging for an attack and is apparently invulnerable to fucking everything. And that's true of pretty much all enemies. It just feels cheap sometimes, but overall I haven't had much of a problem, and I feel like boss battles generally offer a decent challenge that doesn't always feel cheap. Back to some of the other RPG stuff though. There are skill trees for each of the party characters. You progress the trees using orbs which are awarded at the end of battles and sometimes quests, or they can be collected while flying around the world. I've never found myself short on orbs and I have not gone out of my way to collect them. The only reason they seem to be just in the air out in the world is to give you a little something to do while you're flying across the rather large landscapes. There is also a system called Community. Throughout the game, you'll collect emblems that represent characters from the series, and you'll be able to place them on one of 7 community boards, each board having their own passive bonuses. I actually really like this system. It reminds me of placing probes in Xenoblade Chronicles X. It's like a little puzzle in and of itself. Placing character emblems next to other emblems that are significant to them provides a group bonus, increasing the levels of the emblems and in turn the community board they're placed on. Each emblem has a number of possible groupings, and they can be granted multiple group bonuses. So placing Piccolo, Goku, Tien and Vegeta next to each other activates the enemies to friends group. And if you put Vegeta on the end, you can string Raditz and Nappa on for the Saiyan Warrior group bonus. Each time you activate a new bonus, you'll get a little voice-acted exchange between the characters as a reminder of what the group bonus is referring to. It's a nice touch.
Right, we're off to find the Dragon Balls!
Yes, sir! Emperor Pilaf!
I just hope you know who doesn't show up!
Other than the main story issue I've already talked about, the only other issue I had was on the technical side, but it's all fairly minor stuff. I've been playing the PC version, which is locked to 60 frames per second during gameplay and 30 frames for pre-rendered cutscenes, and the port itself is a little rough here and there. I'd like better mouse and keyboard integration, but it's nothing experience ruining. It's perfectly playable and I've been having a damn good time, and I suspect the roughness will continue to be worked on because I'm led to believe that developer CC2 were being pressured to rush this game out. I didn't get a review code until the day before release because they were waiting for the day 1 patch to be ready before sending them out. They were clearly working hard on this game right up to launch. At the end of the day, this is basically all I've ever wanted from a Dragon Ball Z game. At least it was, until I'd been given a whole bunch of games I didn't really want that had the exact same main story. This is the right direction though. Give me a game like Kakarot that follows the story of GT or Super and I'd be giddy with excitement. And yes, I said GT, not because I think that series is particularly good or anything, but because I'm far less familiar with its story arcs than I am with Dragon Ball Z's. I'd be able to enjoy the optional stuff as much as I do in Kakarot, but I might also get something from the main story as well. I do also think there's room for original stories to be told in this kind of game. Take me back to Planet Vegeta, let me create my own Saiyan character, learn about the culture and how they came into the service of King Cold to begin with, invade other planets and all that good stuff. Basically anything could work within Kakarot's formula, and there is no stronger evidence of that than the fact that I, of all people, after being forced to play as Goku and Gohan a whole lot in a game called Kakarot, can still say that I absolutely love it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.
Thanks for the liking, subscribing, and the sharing!